So a big part of the content on this channel, and really truly one of the big reasons why I made this channel, is for me as a leader to sit back and share with you guys some of the life lessons, some of the experiences that I've had in my time as a leader, in the Marine Corps, out in the real world as a manager, or in World of Warcraft as, officer, guild leader, all this stuff. And that is truly one of the big reasons why I created this channel. However, I think for a couple of videos, what we're going to do is we're going to take a step back. We're not going to focus so much on me. We're not going to focus so much on my successes or my failures or things that I have seen. Instead, we're going to try something else. We're going to do something else for a couple of videos. I don't know how many we're going to do, just as I recall these stories. But instead, we're going to look at failures, pure, utter failures. Now, I've talked about and I've given you guys examples of leaders that are great, that are good, that are competent, that get the job done, that you would be willing, maybe not necessarily to, immediately jump up and say, I will follow this guy, but you at least can admit in your heart of hearts, yes, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's competent. He'll get some shit done. However, now we're going to kind of change directions a little bit. And I'm going to talk about a leader that I was put through in my normal 9-to-5 job that was a complete failure. That this guy was completely worthless, that was completely detrimental to the team. And because of this, I still learned a lot. And I want to say that I've shared this with you guys before, but if I haven't, maybe you've missed the video. Hell, maybe I never even said it in the first place. But as a leader, and again, I don't care what you're doing. If you're in a leadership role, you need to take every opportunity to learn. That means that you are learning from all of the great leaders that are succeeding, that have succeeded in the past, those that are up and coming, and the life lessons, like the stuff that I do. But you also want to look at the failures, the poor decisions, the leaders that were inept, that were detrimental, that weren't great for their team, and what happened and why. So this is what we're going to do. And just to preface this, before we go any further, I'm not trying to be mean at all in any way towards this guy, okay? But we are going to be talking about a real life guy who I worked with in my normal 9-to-5 job for several years. Okay, I was working with this guy. He was my manager, my boss, for probably 2 or 3 years. And there's several stories that I'm going to try to recall. But I want to be clear that I'm not trying to be malicious or mean or spiteful or any of those words, right? Instead, I want to point out the failures that occurred because of this guy and what we can learn out of all of that heartache and those frustrating moments and all this stuff. So, to start off with, I'm going to share you guys kind of my initial thought process with this guy. So, the way that this all occurred is the manager that my team had, and just to give you guys kind of a broad overview, my manager had 3 teams. I was the team lead for one of them. There were clearly 2 other team leads with 2 other teams, very similar size. Right now, it's 1 team with 1 team lead. Congratulations, I'm the supervisor. But then it was 3 teams. And the manager moved positions. He was no longer the manager for the 3 teams. And there was an open management spot. Of course, all 3 team leads applied for it. Very clearly, none of us got it. And, there are reasons behind it. We may not have been ready for it. We may, whatever. We didn't get the job. And the way that my manager's manager, the big boss man, did the interviews for outside candidates is he gave all 3 of the team leads the resumes. And he said, hey, I'm going to ask the majority of the questions. When I ask my series of questions, which is going to account for a big ass chunk of my thought, my consideration for this gentleman or lady, you guys are going to shut the hell up. You're going to listen in. You're not going to open your damn mouth. You're going to be quiet and observe. However, I am going to open up the floor to you guys. I want you guys to talk to me, ask questions, and then we'll reconvene after this person is gone, and you guys will share with me your thoughts, and I'll take those things into consideration. Cool. as a side note, maybe a lesson that we can all learn, right? So we get several interviews and we go through them, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, and we get this resume that comes, I guess, on our desk, right? And this is for a middle-aged man, about 44, 45 years old. He served in the Army for about 10 to 12 years. I really can't remember the exact number. He was an Army Ranger. He is currently very heavily, at this point, and again, this was, I don't know, 6, 8 years ago. This guy got out of the military as an Army Ranger, and he then started to serve his church. Very religious man, stepped into a role in his church, kind of as, outside of work, obviously. Has been in managerial positions in Fortune 500 companies. He was leading a very similar team at a different job. He could fit right in, etc., etc. Now, my initial impression when I was looking at this resume, and I want you guys to think about it with me, as, myself, right? I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps. I love the Marine Corps. It's not perfect, right? The Marine Corps is not perfect. It has its problems. I thoroughly enjoyed my time in the Marine Corps. There were times it sucked, don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed my time in the Marine Corps. And there is a culture and an attitude when it comes to Marines and Marines and other military personnel that maybe you as a civilian, if you guys are civilians, if you don't know anybody that's been in the military, you just, unfortunately, and I hate to pull this card, you just don't get it, right? It's a culture, it's a lifestyle, and I was very excited when this resume for this guy showed up in my email box, and I'm sitting here reading it, and I want you guys to think about it with me. Army Ranger, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever it was. I'm like, cool, like this guy is going to have our backs, and he's going to be, and spoiler alert, have our backs, and he's going to be aggressive, and he's going to be someone that I can truly learn from, right? Because this dude has done it, right? Army Ranger, he's got that Ranger tab, so he's going to be, and I feel weird saying it with everything going, this is going to be a man, right? Like, this is going to be a man that's going to take charge and mold the team and, shape us and help us and really, truly progress the team leads. And of course, and you guys, I'm sure, can already see where this is going. When this gentleman stepped into the room to be interviewed, he was a large man. He was pudgy. He was very passive. He was very, I don't want to say shy, very quiet. And he was very mild-mannered, is as polite as I will put it. To summarize, to be politically correct, he was a bitch. And it truly was the foundation for every single story that I'm going to share with you guys. That he was I don't want to say he was severely overweight, but the man had clearly not done any bit of exercise in a long time. He knew very little about the IT field. He knew very little about management. He was simply a yes man. And what I want to share with you guys, if we pull one lesson from the very first initial encounter with this guy, it is this: that when you are out there, that you have this presence, right? That you have this idea in people's heads of who you are and what you are, and people have expectations because of where and what you are. If you are a leader in a leadership position, people expect things of you. They expect you to be sometimes aggressive, to shape and mold and teach people. And we've talked about this, right? That you need to take charge, this decisiveness, that you, as a leader, one of your big responsibilities is to teach. A lot of leaders, a lot of people that want to get into a leadership position don't understand that. And that is the difference between a good and a bad leader, is the ability and want to teach. And this guy didn't have it. He didn't have that aggressive, that assertiveness. He didn't have that oomph. He didn't want to mold or teach you. He simply wanted to go, hey, go do this ticket, You go do this ticket, you go do this, and clean this up, and then sit back and play on his phone. And unfortunately, that is the leader that we got. And that was, like I mentioned before, the foundation of every single story that I'm going to tell you guys for the next couple of weeks. And hopefully you like it. If you don't, let me know. If you do, cool. And until next time, guys, I'll see you.